My sleep schedule was normal for like literally 2 to 3 days. It's already ruined again. Love it. Anyway, hi guys. It's Austin here, or Luna. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Monday so far. Start of the week. It's a new week. Hopefully it's a good one. Today's story time. It's a wild one. It's a crazy one, if you couldn't tell, judging by the title. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's one that I've been holding on to for quite a while. One that I'm very excited to tell. I hope you all enjoy it. And yeah, man, let's just get into it because I don't really know how else to start this. So today's story time, it all takes place in freshman year of high school. Now, it's kind of funny because around this time, I was like really into the movie Project X. And for some reason, I thought that like there was truth to it. There's not, by the way. I just want to start that off right now. If you want to be cool in high school, you don't have to throw some huge party. You can just be yourself. I know it sounds corny and cliche, but like you can be cool being yourself. I promise you, everyone I've met in high school that was like cool to me were people that didn't put on some stupid act or some facade and like didn't pretend to be somebody else. You know what I mean? Like those were the people to me that were the coolest. Anyway, around this time, I was really into that movie, and in high school, I thought that it would like boost my points to throw a party. Also, my mom was out for the weekend. She was on vacation with her friend until Sunday night, so I thought it'd be a good time to throw a party. So I did, and it didn't go so well, just like the movie, which is kind of funny. Now, the stuff that went wrong was not like the movie. This is a whole different problem, okay? This whole story time could be made into a whole other movie. You could have Project X Part 2 just based on what happened at this party. So this all starts off as a normal day back in 9th grade. I was about halfway through the year at this point, so I was pretty used to, my day-to-day routine. Got up out of bed about 6 in the morning, showered, got ready, the whole deal, went to school, got to school, started my day like any other day, right? Now, most of the day was completely normal, really nothing to talk about. This story time doesn't really start until lunchtime on this day. So I get to lunch and I sit down at my regular table with my regular friends that I would typically sit with. And I'm sitting there with them, just chilling, talking, having a normal conversation, when I brought up the idea of wanting to throw a party. I was like, yeah, I kind of want to throw a party. I feel like it would boost some of my credit at the school, get me some more homies, some more people to hang out with, make me a little bit more popular. And my one friend literally said, he's like the movie, like Project X. And I was like, no, not like the movie. I want to do it. When in reality, it was because of the movie. And then my friend made a really good point. He's like, bro, you're not some loner. You have tons of friends here, more friends than I fucking have. Why do you want more? And honestly, he made a great point. And to this day, I still stand by this. If you have 5 very, very good, real friends that are like really real and not just some yes men, those 5 friends are better than having 500 friends that aren't real. You know what I mean? Like fake, not so good friends. I'd rather have 5 real close friends than 500 distant / fake friends. You know what I mean? So he made a good point. And at the time, I even knew it. I remember back then, I thought it was a really good point, but I just didn't listen to him because I was stuck in my ways and I thought throwing a party was a good idea and a good way to boost my like social status at the school, right? So yeah, I said fuck it and I started planning a party. And honestly, once I started planning the party, it went from like being this thing that I wanted to do just to like get some social status to being more like I just wanted to be fun, which was nice. Once I started planning it, my intentions kind of changed, which was good. So yeah, now I was just mainly focused on having a really fun party, right? So I started asking my friends and stuff and people I knew to just be like, giving me suggestions and shit like that on how I could make the party better. And my friends didn't have the best ideas. One of my homies suggested that I book this like local rapper that was kind of blowing up at the time in my city. But he charged like $2,000 a show and I was a freshman in high school. I did not have $2,000 to be dropping on him. My other friend suggested that I rent this like crazy water bouncy house thing. It was like a water slide / bouncy house. And while that sounded fun, I live in New York and it was fall / winter time, like it was going into winter. So that wouldn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, my friends' ideas just weren't the best ideas in my opinion. So I kind of had to like more think for myself on how to do this stuff. Now, after a few days of thinking, I kind of had a good idea, or at least a better idea than getting a bouncy house in the almost winter time. I was like, you know what? I'm going to hire a fucking DJ. Why not, man? Now, this was a good idea and a bad idea for 2 reasons. Good idea because, music. Bad idea because I live in a neighborhood with other people and DJs are very loud. So just like the movie of Project X, I had to go around and tell my neighbors and be like, hey man, I'm throwing a party this Saturday. There's going to be music playing. If it gets too loud, just hit me up. And everyone was pretty cool with it on my street, except one guy who lived at the very end of the street. And honestly, I probably didn't even have to tell him about the DJ or like the music or whatever because he lives so far away, he wouldn't even hear it. But I wanted to be safe just in case it was that loud. And he was being kind of weird about it. I remember I told him, and he was like, does your mom know about it? He was the only neighbor to ask me that. And I was like, yeah. I lied. She did not know about it. Don't lie. That's not good. But yeah, I lied. Not proud of it. But after I told him that, he was like, well, I have something really early on Sunday morning. So yeah, if your party's too loud, I'm going to complain. And I was like, yeah, that's the whole point of me telling you. If it's too much, just let me know. He goes, okay. He closes the door on my face. Didn't say like goodbye or anything or have a good day. I was like, all right. Now, after this, it was pretty much party time. It was that following Saturday was the day of the party, and I had everything planned. I already booked the DJ. By the way, the DJ was like a local dude that was like my brother's friend, so he didn't really charge me a lot of money. It wasn't like a professional DJ, but he was kind of professional. Like he had turntables and stuff, but he wasn't very expensive. Anyway, yeah, that following Saturday came along, and it was time for the party. Now, I invited a lot of people, way more people than I probably should have, to be honest, just because I wanted people to show up. I didn't want to like flop and obviously have no one show. So I invited as many people as I could, right? And believe it or not a lot of people came. Ain't gonna lie, probably about half the people I invited showed up. Now, granted, I invited a lot of people, so it was still a fat chunk of people at my house, but it was a lot less than I expected. I wouldn't say it was a full-blown flop of a party, but it was definitely not what I expected. If I had to take a wild guess at how many people came there, because I didn't really count it, it was probably about 35 to maybe 40 people, which is a lot in a small house like the one I grew up in, right? You know, it was not some like small party, but I invited like 80 to 100 people. So, you know, I expected a little more, but granted, looking back, I'm glad all 100 or however many people I invited didn't show up, because that would have been hell. And honestly, it would have been even more hell when you learn what happens. So the party starts, right? And like I said, it's about 35 to 40 people there. My house isn't that big, the house that I grew up in. So, you know, the party's pretty packed. And things are going really good. The music outside, it's at a good volume. I don't think it's too loud or too quiet. People are like dancing and shit. I talked to my mom for a little bit right when the party started. Like I went to a room that was quiet and I called her, and she told me she was having fun. She was on vacation with her friend. She'd be back on Sunday. So I had a whole night and most of Sunday morning and afternoon to clean up afterwards. So things were going good, I would say, for teenage me, right? Now, about an hour into the party, people are starting to get kind of cold. You know, the sun was set. And it was cold out, like I said. It was almost winter. I think it was either like beginning of winter or about to be winter. So it was pretty cold. And we decided it'd be a good idea to move the DJ inside. This was a good idea for two reasons. One, way warmer inside. Two, music could be louder inside because it's not outside and the neighbors can't hear it as easy. So we moved the DJ inside. He set up all of his gear in the living room, and we moved some of the couches like the side of the walls. So it was a big open like dance floor type shit. And this made the party a lot better. Way better, because we had this big open space and the couches were moved and it was like a dance floor. It was perfect, right? Now, everything's going good. A little too good, right? I remember at one point my friend came up to me, the one that I talked about earlier in the story, that told me like, why do you need to throw a party? You already have enough friends. He came up to me and he was like, yo, this party's actually really fun. And I was like, really? You're having a good time? He's like, yeah, dude, like you killed it. I was like, fuck yeah, thank you, dude. He's like, of course, bro. And we're just talking about the party and like how it's, you know, it's fun, right? And a few of my other friends were with me as well. And I was talking to them. And all of a sudden, I start to see something. I start to see something that nobody wants to see at their party. I see two guys in my living room beefing. They're at each other's face. They're yelling about something. The music's kind of loud, so I can't really hear them. So I run over. I tell the DJ to turn the music down. He turns it down. And I can start to hear them like arguing a little bit more clear. And they're arguing because one of the dudes spilled a drink on his shoes. The one guy had like some nice Jordan 1s on, and the other dude spilled his drink on it on accident, and they're bitching at each other about it. The one dude's like, oh, it was an accident, I didn't mean to drop that on you. And the one guy's like, I don't give a fuck, you still dropped it, like watch where you're going. And honestly, I kind of sided with the dude that was saying it was an accident, because like it was probably an accident, you know what I mean? Like I've done stupid shit before on accident all the time. I've spilled drinks on people, I've fallen over onto people. I've done a lot of dumb shit on accident, so I was not surprised that this happened at a party full of people, right? That someone made a mistake and fucked up on accident, right? So I got between them and I started talking to the guy that was like really mad. And I was like, hey man, listen, like he didn't mean to do it. Okay, my bad. Do you want some shoe cleaner? Because I actually had shoe cleaner at my house, because I also was into sneakers and stuff, and I had some pretty nice shoe cleaner that could clean them right up very quick, and honestly, they'd probably look even better than they were before the drink got spilled on them. And he was like, sure. And I was like, bet, come with me. So I walked the dude into my bedroom. I go under my bed, I grab the shoe cleaning kit, I give it to him, and he starts cleaning up his shoes like right there in my room. And while he's cleaning his shoes, I start making small talk. I was like, yeah, man, so like, what kind of sneakers are you into? And he's telling me, and I'm telling him what I got. We're just kind of like talking about our collections and stuff. And then I asked him what happened. I was like, how'd that dude like fall? Like what happened? And he's like, I don't know. I was just like dancing with my girl. And all of a sudden I feel a bunch of wet shit go all over my chest and my shoes. And there it is. And I couldn't really tell at the time, but he wasn't kidding. There was like a black spot on his chest. He's wearing a black hoodie. So like there was a slightly darker spot on his chest. I didn't even notice that at first. Honestly, if I were him, I would have been more pissed about the fact that someone spilled a drink on my hoodie than my shoes, because then I have to wear a wet hoodie the rest of the night. Or even if you take it off, it kind of soaks through on your shirt. So like, I don't know, like wet clothes bothers me a lot more than wet sneakers. Anyway, yeah, he's telling me like the dude tripped or whatever and dropped it. I don't know, right? And he still seems kind of like irrationally angry about it, even though his shoes got cleaned up very nice and things were like back to normal. He was like, if he bumps into me again, I'm fucking sleeping him right there in your living room. Basically saying he's going to knock him out. And I was like, hey, bro, I get that you're mad, right? That your shit got spilled on. But like, this is my house. This is where I live. I would really appreciate it if you guys didn't fight in my living room. You know what I mean? Like, the dude said it was an accident. He didn't mean it. Let him go, man. Like, give him a pass. And he's like, all right, bro, I'll give him one pass. But if he fucks up again, I'm not holding back. And I was like, bro, unless he intentionally does some shit, please don't. And he kind of like sighs and he's like, all right, man, for you. And he like daps me up and he's like, I appreciate this. And he points to the shoe cleaner. And I was like, thank you. He turns around and he walks out of my room. To which I sigh with relief because I'm like, all right, I just like fixed the situation, you know, the one speed bump so far in the party. Well, about 10 minutes later, there was another speed bump. Quite literally, because a car crashed into somebody's mailbox outside. This car belonging to a friend of mine who was on his way to my party. Yeah, when he turned down my street, he crashed into someone's mailbox somehow and fucking just completely sent it out of the ground all over the street and busted it, right? I know this because I got a phone call mid-party being like, hey, dude, can you come outside and help me, like, talk to your neighbor? I just crashed into his mailbox. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah. So I ran outside, and out of all the neighbors' mailboxes that he could have hit, he hit the one mailbox that belonged to that dude I talked about earlier. That neighbor that, like, kind of closed the door on me a little bit rudely, the one that was kind of giving me some attitude, and the one that lived pretty much at the end of the street, right? So I walk over there, and I see my neighbor. He's standing there with his wife looking pissed as fuck. My friend's standing there looking very, very guilty. And I see my friend's car pulled over to the side of the road, and I see the mailbox kind of scattered all over the place, right? And I walk up to everybody, and I was like, hey, guys, like, how's everyone doing? And my neighbor goes, not good, Austin, not good. This guy over here just hit my mailbox, and he points to my friend. And I don't think my friend told him yet that me and him knew each other, like he was my friend. Which kind of sucked for me because I could have just stayed inside and let my friend deal with it if I really wanted to be a dickhead. And it also would have avoided what's about to happen. But I was just like, oh yeah, that's my buddy. He was on his way to my house and he accidentally turned into your mailbox when he was making the turn. I'm so sorry. We'll fix it for you. Like, we'll put our money together if we have to, and we will buy you a new one that's even better. And this guy goes, I don't want a new one. I want that one. Now, guys, I ain't gonna lie. He wasn't getting that one back, okay? It was in a million pieces, all right? He was not getting that one back. And I told him that. I was like, well, it kind of looks broken. I don't think it's gonna be fixable. You really won't take a new one? And he goes, I don't want a new one. I want that one. My son built it for me. And I was like, oh, man. In my head, I'm like, oh, shit. Like, out of all the mailboxes in the street, my friend had to hit the one that had fucking sentimental value, right? Like, he had to hit the one that this guy really, really loved. And I just didn't know what to say. So I was like, well, I'm really sorry. My friend's really sorry. If you let us make it up to you, we will. And this guy just goes, I don't want you guys to do shit. Your friend has done enough. Just get my mailbox pieces out of the street, put them in my garage. You, and he points to my friend, give me your mom's phone number. I'll talk to her about getting my mailbox fixed. I want her to know what you did and get out of here. So my friend gave the neighbor his mom's number. We helped him pick up his mailbox stuff, the pieces, put it in the garage. And as we were leaving, the neighbor yelled at me. He's like, hey, you still having that party? And I was like, yeah, I am. Is it too loud? He goes, no, actually, I don't hear anything. I was like, all right, that's good. Let me know if you do. I'll make sure to quiet down. He goes, okay. And we walked away. Now, things went as good as they could, in my opinion. He didn't tell my mom that I was having a party. He didn't call my mom and let her know my friend just obliterated his mailbox. Honestly, it just kind of seemed like this was my friend's issue, not mine. It was kind of just my friend's problem to deal with. So after this, me and my friend get in his car and we drive back to my house. It was only a few houses down. And on the way, I was just like, bro, what the fuck happened? He's like, bro, I ain't gonna lie. I was turning the corner and I got a call, and I looked down to the passenger seat to like see who was calling me, and I ended up taking the turn like way too wide, and I hit his mailbox. I was like, bro, you fucking stupid? Like, what if there was a person standing there, bro? You would have hit someone. He's like, I know, I'm a fucking idiot, bro. Like, I'm never doing that again. I was like, please don't. And let me just stop real quick. This is why when you're driving, you don't look at your phone. Because if you look down from the road for even a second, you might end up taking a turn too wide, or drifting off to the left or right, or not seeing somebody in front of you, and accidents happen. There's so many ways a fucking accident can happen if you're not looking at the road. So yeah, don't do that. Don't do what my dumbass friend did. Anyway, we get back to my house. I go back to just enjoying my party and making sure everything's okay. My friend also was enjoying the party after he had just obliterated my neighbor's mailbox. And things were good. Things were good. Now about an hour goes by, right? And things are going really good now. Things just seem to be going good. You know, like everyone's having fun. Nobody's fighting. Nobody's having any issues. My friend, the one that hit the mailbox, he was even having a good time. His mom hadn't called him yet, being like, hey, why'd you hit that mailbox? So he was still having a good time, you know, he was still distracted with the party and not having to deal with his problems yet. Well, as many of you know, when things are going good, something comes along and fucks it up. So even though most of the party was inside, people were still going out in my backyard a lot to smoke. You know, cigarettes, weed, vape, whatever, right? People would go outside and like do that. So there was still like 5 to 10 people outside at any given time during the party, right? And while I'm in the living room, just listening to the music, hanging out, chilling, someone runs up to me. My homie Jeremy, he runs up to me and he goes, yo, come out back right now. There's about to be a fight. And I was like, what? Let's go. So we run outside, right? And when we get outside, I turn the corner and I see 2 kids from my school clearly having an issue. Now, it's not the same 2 people from earlier. It was 2 different people. One of the people I knew very well, we'll just call him Sam, and the other dude, we'll call him Jacob, okay? Jacob was kind of a goth dude. He had like a pretty cool like punk/goth style. Always had this crazy mohawk and like studded clothes and stuff. And he'd wear these belts that had like spikes on them, like legitimate spikes that were like actually kind of sharp. I don't know how he wore those without hurting himself. So he was like all fitted up in his like crazy punk like goth outfit. And Sam was more of like a kind of jock, like sports kind of dude, right? He was like on the basketball team, very into sports. And they didn't like each other in school, so I'm not surprised that they didn't like each other at my party, right? So I ran up between them, and I like got between them, and I was like, yo, what's going on? What's going on? And Jacob tells me that Sam was trying to hit on his girlfriend that he'd been dating for 2 years, by the way. And I look over at Sam, and I was like, is this true? He's like, yeah, I didn't know she was taken. And Jacob starts yelling. He's like, fuck you, that's bullshit, and you know it. Like, you've literally seen us out together multiple times. Like, don't fucking lie right now. And honestly, Jacob had a point. Sam had seen Jacob and his girlfriend out many times, and at school, obviously. They had classes together and stuff. So I just looked at Sam, and I was like, bro, this is my party, my house. Like, please, let's not start fights here. You know what I mean? Like, leave his girl alone forever. Like, they're dating, leave them alone, and enjoy the party with your friends here, because I know you got friends here. And he's like, all right, bro, all right. And he like daps me up, gives me like a little side hug. He's like, bro, I'm sorry. I was like, yeah, you're good, man. And he goes up to Jacob, and he's like, I'm sorry, Jacob. And he shakes his hand. Now, I thought that was it, right? I was like, okay, cool. Sam's being mature. They're not going to fight. Like, we're good. And as Sam starts to walk away back towards the door to go back in my house, he stops right in front of Jacob's girlfriend that was standing there, and he goes, I'm so sorry, it won't happen again. And she goes, it's fine, no big deal. And then Sam goes, yeah, just maybe next time don't look so cute at a party. And I just knew it. Right when he said that, it was over. And I see Jacob run up behind Sam, and he puts him in a headlock. And then Sam flips Jacob over his shoulder, and they both get on the ground and they start fighting each other. And I was like, oh, no, like, this is not happening right now. This can't be happening. No, like, not here, no. And me and my friends run over. We're trying to break it up, and it just would not break up. No matter what me and my friends did, we could not separate them. They were, like, hugging each other on the ground, basically, not letting each other, like, break up from this fight. Also, it was hard to break them up because fucking Jacob wears these like crazy spiky clothes, and like it was genuinely hurting me to grab them. Well, finally, after like fucking a minute straight of like trying to get them to like separate, we finally get them both up, and they're both standing and they're separated. But then Sam like breaks my friend's grip and runs over to Jacob and dive tackles him straight into the side of my pool. And Jacob's like spiky belt thing ripped the complete side of the pool and sent all of the water in it and Jacob and Sam just like flooding all over my yard. Like literally Jacob went one way, Sam went another. The water just went everywhere, all over my backyard. Like a pool full of water. Like imagine that, especially in the cold. Like it was just hell. And I looked over at my friend and my friend looked at me and he goes, "Oh no." And I was like, I'm fucked. Because guess what? I was fucked. Not only was there just a fight at my party, and, you know, that was bad. But now my pool flooded my entire yard and the pool was now ripped and broken and ruined. And this was just not something I could explain away to my parents. You know what I mean? Like, I can't just be like, "Hey, Mom, the pool just broke. Don't know why." Like, obviously I had to tell the fucking truth. And the story time doesn't end there. It gets even worse. So after the water floods everywhere and they're soaking wet, Jacob and Sam, they stopped fighting because they were freezing. And they just ruined my pool, and they were more focused on that now because they both ran up to me immediately and said sorry. And I was like, "It's fine, just go inside." And they went inside to dry off, and everybody from outside went inside because they were, you know, not trying to get their legs and their feet soaked with water. So everyone went inside, and me and my friends were just walking around looking at the soaked yard that was my backyard. And my friend looked at me and he's like, "Bro, well, you know, the good news is it'll probably dry up by the morning. But yeah, in the meantime, you're probably gonna have to think about how you're gonna tell your parents this." And I was like, "Yeah, man, I know. He's like, "All right, well, what do you want to do? You want to like call the party off?" I was like, "Nah, like, fuck it. Let's just enjoy the night while we have it. I'll worry about it tomorrow." And we go inside, right? And I think to myself, surely that's it, right? The party can't get any worse. The rest of it's gonna be amazing. Maybe it'll take my mind off it for a few hours and it'll be good. Well, about, 20 minutes later, we ran out of cups. Yeah, there was no cups upstairs. Now, luckily, I had like hundreds of them downstairs, like red Solo cups, just stored away in my basement. So I thought, okay, I'll run to the basement and grab some. So I swing open the basement door. I walk down the stairs in the dark. And when I get to the bottom of the stairs and I go to take my last step onto the basement floor and turn the light on right next to me, I feel a splash. And I feel cold water go into my sock. And I think, what the fuck was that? Did my dog pee? Did someone spill some shit down here? Please let it be one of the two and not what I think it is. And I flick the light on and I see my basement is flooded. There was so much pool water and my basement must have had some sort of like foundation issue or like some sort of leak somewhere or like the sub pump wasn't working and my basement fucking flooded. And I remember looking around and seeing stuff just all wet and the floor being covered in water. And I was like, "Oh shit." So I ran back upstairs and I was like, "All right, that's it." I told the DJ to shut the music off. I was like, "Party's over, guys. I'm sorry. My basement flooded. I need to start calling people over to fix this." And everybody poured out of my house and left. Luckily, nobody was being annoying about it. Everyone understood. And most people were actually very sorry about it. Even some people offered to help, but I didn't want their help. I just wanted to, call the adults in for this. You know what I mean? I needed professionals. So everyone left. So that was good. Everybody was quick to leave. Now, after everybody left, besides two of my friends, I just called up my mom and I told her the truth. I was like, "Mom, you're going to be very upset with me, but I had a party while you were out of town. I thought that it wouldn't go bad. I really thought it'd just be a nice, normal party. But there was a fight. The pool got ripped and it flooded the backyard, which then flooded the basement. And I don't know what to do." And she goes, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, the basement is flooded." She goes, "Are you fucking with me right now, Austin? Please tell me you're fucking with me. Please tell me it's a joke." I was like, "I wish I was." She goes, "Okay, call your uncle. Call him right now." So I called up my uncle who had dealt with this in the past. He worked on basements and stuff that flooded. And he came over and his friend came over and they ended up calling out more people. And that whole night we were just scooping water out of the basement and using these fucking squirrel fan things to dry up the floor. And we had to call someone over the next day to fix the sub pump. And it was just hell, man. It was so shitty. I remember when my mom came home the next day and she saw the pool and the state that the house was in, she was like, "You're done." And she ended up grounding me for 6 fucking months, dude. 6 months. I couldn't do shit. And she actually stood on it too. I couldn't do anything for 6 months. I couldn't like do anything. Now, the good news is my basement was fixed. We had to rip out some carpet, but for the most part, the basement was okay. We got a new pool, which was even better, so I guess that was good, I guess. I don't know. I still felt pretty bad about my last one getting fucked up. And, my friends had a really good time. The party was really good, so I guess that was good, but I'm not going to lie. This was not one of those stories where things ended well. I would say this was pretty shitty, and things went very wrong. Also, my friend, the one that busted the mailbox, his mom had to pay for a whole new mailbox for him, and she had to ground him for like 3 months, so that wasn't very good for him. And just overall, the whole thing went pretty bad. So that leads me to the final part of this story. Moral of the story is, just don't be like young Luna. Don't do what I did in this story. Point blank, period. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That is the story of how a party of mine went entirely wrong, very quick, and my basement got flooded. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace. 'Cause you won't let me be. Maybe outside, let me die in the back.